In this episode of Super Seicento, well, it's an episode of Super Seicento. Frankly, I don't care what we're doing. This thing's here, let's do something. Hello you lot, Miller Corner here, and for the first time in far too long, welcome back to Super Seicento. That's right, we're finished on the GTV now. That project is done, the car is now sold. You might be able to see it in the background, but that car's time with me is pretty much done, and that means we can go back to this little nugget. And my main priority for now is just to sort a few things out with it, because it has been off the road for a few months now, and just get it usable, get a few things fixed and sorted, so that over the summer I can just drive it and enjoy it for a bit before we get on to some more serious mods later in the year. The first thing we need to do with a car that's been sitting for over 3 months is actually very, very simple, and Fiat haters in the audience can shut up for a minute, but we've actually got to pop the bonnet. No, it hasn't broken. Bear with me. Once we got the car back home after I'd moved back from where I was living, I pretty much put the car on the driveway and left it there because I was still doing stuff on the Alpha. And what that means is the car hasn't even been started since about April. And that means the battery is completely flat. Even the interior clock isn't showing anymore. There is that little charge in it. Thing is, it doesn't do a battery too much good to just keep jumping it. And because I'm in no rush to get the car started today, I may as well do it properly. So instead, I've got a battery charge pack. So first up, we need to connect our red to our positive. Now, it's not the best access in the world in a Seicento, if I'm brutally honest, and similarly we won't want our black on our negative, and that's going to go there where it's nice and secure. And I've got a power strip just off camera that I'm going to plug this into, and then we should be able to make charging occur. And it's important when you plug these in, and whatever, when you're connecting a battery, make sure it's not touching anything metal. So I'm making sure that clamp is nowhere near the strut brace or anything else like that. You don't want it shorting out and causing fires, because this car is hot, but hopefully not in a Bernie Downey type fashion. Because I don't want to thrash the battery out, I've got the charge pack on a slow rate of charge, so it might take a few hours to charge it up completely, but I'm in no rush to start the car and move it today, and I've gone more than 4 seconds without painting something, so now let's paint something. That washer jet is looking past its best. You can see the paint's all cracked and flaking, and there's bits flaking off. Yeah, the heat has not been kind to my rather lovely but otherwise knackered colour-coded washer jet. So today we're going to take it off and repaint it. Now, those of you that saw the respray video will know how this works. You just pop this hose off here. There we go. And then I believe we can just push it through, and there we go. The other thing that needs repainting are the mirrors. Now, they do look good when they're in black and they're in good condition, but 2 years of abuse and the paint probably not being the best quality to begin with has meant it hasn't really lasted all that well. We've got a lot of blistering on here, it's kind of flat in places, and there's a lot of stone chips going on from where I drove this thing over 2,000 miles to Poland and back. You might remember when I took the mirrors off the Alpha to paint them that I said that in the time it took to get one off, so complicated and difficult was it, that in this one I could have got both the mirrors off and prepped them. Well, I'm going to hold true to that hopefully by taking these ones off in hopefully less than what feels like 3 bloody weeks. One thing that I forgot is I can't drop the window to help me with this job, because obviously there's no power in the car yet, it doesn't have any charge, so I'm gonna have to try and do this through the door, which is only gonna go well, as we know, because you know I am the least clumsy, least oafish person on the internet. I mean what I said about this being a lot easier than the Alpha though. There are literally 3 Phillips head screws on the other side of this. You take one plate off and then this mirror is ready to go. You will also see in the background another old friend, the temporary daily red Seicento, is around because my brother is starting to pick up driving lessons again, which means he can start going out to learn to drive in that again. And that means that yes, very soon, I know a lot of you have been asking for it, there will be an update on my brother's driving progress and on how that car's doing and everything, because I love that car and I love that my brother's going to be using it because it's such a mad nugget, like this mad nugget as well. Mirror numero 10 is off, and on reflection, that was pretty easy. Eh? Yeah, alright, I'll stop. Right, mirrors are off the car, ready for paint, and the first step is masking them up so we don't overspray onto the glass or anything, which is done like so. There you go. And here's a quick tip for if you're painting a washer jet: fill the washer jet holes with some sewing needles like this, because what that means is you won't get any paint in there, and that means it won't get all clogged up, but that means you still get a good clean spray pattern when you put it back on the car, and everyone likes a good clean spray. Step 2 is then to take a look at how bad your existing paint is. Yep, that's f***ed. And step 3 is then to flat them down with some very fine sandpaper in a gratuitous time-lapse type fashion. And by the magic of editing, the mirrors are now completely flatted down. They've then been cleaned and hung from the ceiling. And the upshot of that is they're going to be really easy to paint all the way round, because I can hang on to the adjuster lever thing, spin them round, and get all the way round to paint each and every angle. Once you've prepped your mirrors, it's now time for your cheesy intro. Joe paints random stuff. Do-do-do. That's right, and on this episode of Joe Paints Random Stuff, we've got yet another set of mirrors from the Super Seicento. They're pretty much ready to go, so without further ado, here's some plastic primer. Let's prime the plastic and then do some painting. Cue the montage. It is a new day and our mirrors are done. How good do these guys look? So without further ado, let's cut them down and get them on the car. Change of plan, we'll do the washer jet first, because this thing looks awesome. Look at that shine, so good. I forgot how nice of a colour broom yellow actually is. That is gorgeous. And here's the little pins we stuck in, which we can just pull out now. And because of that, the jets for the washer are completely clear. There's no paint stuck in them. So now it's clean and it looks fantastic. Let's get it on the car. And by the way, the battery on this is all charged now, which means I can do this. Ah, yeah. Here's a tip: if you're going to paint your washer jet, put a bit of tape over the hole in your bonnet, because that way if anything does happen, like it rains or a bird poops on your car or anything like that, it doesn't go in your engine bay. Hello. That goes in there like that. Hose goes in, and there we have it, done, as a Golf R makes a lot of noise. Right, now let's unmask these mirrors, because frankly they look awesome masked up, and I can't wait to see how much better they're going to look demasked. Oh yes, that looks awesome. Absolutely chuffed with that. So now without further ado, I'll spare you having to watch that one getting unmasked. Let's just get them on the car. Pro tip: if you're taking the mirrors off your car, put some tape over the holes in the door while they're not there, because that way you won't get any unnecessary crud in your door, and no one wants unnecessary crud anywhere, particularly in their door. Of course, there is one other benefit to doing this when I've charged the battery up, and that is I can actually put the windows down. Yay for power. Once you get one started, essentially you're there. Said every home mechanic ever. The important thing to remember with this, because of the nature of the fact the handle for the mirror is also the thing you're using to hold on to it, you do need to kind of pull on it but also push against it to keep it captive in the door, which is every bit as awkward as it sounds. We are there. We've got a mirror that adjusts in every direction with a little lever, and looks, it must be said, awesome. I'm pleased with that. I'm going to do the other one now. See you there. There you go. That is awesome. Now, our final improvement of the day is going to be the steering wheel. Now, eagle-eye viewers might have noticed that the car doesn't have a steering wheel on it at the moment, and there are two very good reasons for that. Reason one is I didn't really get on with the code 350mm suede effect deep dish that I had on here. As you probably saw in a few videos where I'm driving the car with it on, it looks far too big for the interior and I look bunched up just to use the thing. So I decided to go back to what I know, a 300mm small profile for mad hooning in my small mad car. But as much as the Mountie one was quite cool, I've actually already sold it. That is actually already being used on a Citroen ZX of all things. So I decided to go for a brand new steering wheel, and what better than the wheel that I actually wanted but couldn't really afford when I bought the Mountie one, which is this, an OMP Seicento, which I'm assuming is Italian for 300, being that this is a 300mm wheel, it's leather, it's got mad stitching on it, made in Italia. Let's get this fitted, and then I'm back to having an awesome, mad, small wheel, but something with a bit of Italian cred for my credible Italian car that was made in Poland. I sometimes wonder if these cameras get fed up of looking at my stupid face. So to try and combat that battery running out again in protest, I'm going to point the camera down at the steering wheel. Now, one of the benefits of putting it on a car that's already had a Boss kit put on it is obviously we've already adapted it with the wiring to take a horn button. So I'm going to put the wheel on there like that, and I'm just going to thread one screw through it just to hold the wheel in place. Now, I've already checked in advance because you should, otherwise your horn either won't work or will stay on. And we want red to go onto that terminal like that, black to go on this terminal like this on there, and sure enough, we have a horn. I believe that is now on. Undo the screws that we put to hold it there, because there's one little extra bit that I'm going to put on, which you don't have to do, but if you want to make it look pretty, you can. One of these horn rings, and this just goes on here over the horn like that, and that finishes the picture off. And like when you're doing a wheel up on the car, when you're doing steering wheel up, always do these bolts kind of corner to corner if you can, because that way you're not getting too much force being put on one particular area. That's interesting. Okay. So this screw appears to be earthing out the horn. That shouldn't be doing that. So you know how I did the big whole I've checked the wiring beforehand and I know which way round you have to put the plugs into the horn? Well, I did, but what I didn't take into account when I just plugged in the horn button on its own was that when you wire it round that way, it pretty much earths out the horn once you put any screws into the steering wheel and into the Boss kit. It just earths out on the whole assembly. So I took the wires out, switched it round, and if you hadn't worked out by now, this appears to be on. Let's just check all the screws once again. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. OMP Seicento wheel is on the Seicento. That already feels awesome. And there we have it. A bit of housekeeping, a few little jobs, getting the Super Seicento on its way after around about 3 months in hibernation to going back on the road for the summer. The next video is going to be cleaning this thing, because after around about 3 or 4 months since I last washed it, let alone drove it, it has accumulated a fair share of grime. So I think we're going to do a proper cleaning and detailing video, and I'm already bracing myself for the comments I'm going to get. But for now, thanks very much for watching, everybody, and have a brilliant rest of your day. Catch you soon, and have a good one.